again, everybody. Boyd here with you, and welcome back. This is part 23 of our Polar Lights Enterprise Refit Build. We're finishing up on the nacelle for the starboard side. I've worked on doing all my Aztecing, finishing all that up, and I've been assembling and doing my detail painting on this. What I'm getting ready to do right now is something I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to be using this black RTV silicone here to seal up this opening here where our wires come out. And the reason we're going to do that is we want to stop that big light leak that's coming out of there, so that when we attach this onto the model, we're not going to have a huge gap that we have to fill, because this area where it attaches onto the nacelle pylon has a pretty tight squeeze to it, so you have a hard time getting in there and stopping the light leaks. So what I wanted to show you is I'll zoom in on this for you just a little bit. I've used some old pieces of sprue here to plug up my little pinholes, so I make sure I don't get any silicone in there. And I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze this stuff in there now, and we're just going to go ahead and fill up this gap. And it's going to take a little bit before it starts to pile up in there. But I wanted to do this to show you guys that this is a nifty little trick for doing this. And this stuff dries like rubber, so it'll make a really nice little seal there. And it's filling it in really nice. Just want to make sure I get all the way around it real good here. We don't like light leaks, and this was a kind of a problem area on this model. It always wants to leak light there really bad. So this is a nice little fix for that. I'm just working it around, making sure I get every little gap filled in, and then I'm going to smooth it out here a little bit. See, I got a little bit on the bottom side I have to get here. So then I've got that. This will definitely cut down on the hassle. Once I get this smoothed out and filled in and everything, then I'll be able to attach this onto the pylon, and all I'll need to do is use a little bit of canopy glue around the seam there, and we won't have an issue of having a gap that we've got to go in there and fill and sand with putty to stop the light from coming out of that. Much easier way to do it. Just making sure I work it in there real good. And again, this stuff cures up in about a half hour. It's like rubber when it's dry. I'm just getting it down in there real good, and then I'm going to pull my tape. Got a little bit around the top here of this one peg. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to clean my fingers off real quick. This is some messy stuff. We don't want to get it on any other parts of the model here. And I'll go ahead and remove my tape and see if there's any areas that still need a little bit of filling in. I can see just a little bit there on the edge. I'm going to get a new piece of tape. I had a little bit of an overlap there that I Had my tape on too far, so I'll bring that back a little bit. Just give a little shot of putty in here, or silicone in here. Okay. All right. Now I may have to work this on the edges just a little bit here. Again, I want to be careful not to touch the model on the outside too much. Anything that we get on the model, we can wipe it right off, though we don't have to worry. It's not going to hurt the paint at all. Just bringing it over the edge just here a little bit so we make sure that we don't have any gaps. Okay. Some messy stuff. Okay, well that's pretty much got it. I'm going to let that dry now, and then I've got a little bit that got on the outside of the model, but that's not a problem. We're going to come back after that's dry, and we can take a little bit of buffing compound and we can buff that stuff right off of there. It won't hurt the paint at all. Like I mentioned, it's not going to attack the paint or anything like that. So there you go. There's sealing that up, and this will make a nice tight seal when we go ahead and place this onto the pylon. Now we won't have a gap there anymore. That light's not going to be able to leak out of there. So there's a cool little trick for you for your light blocking. You could also probably use this stuff inside some of your areas on the model where you wanted to cover up your LEDs and things like that. I'm going to start using this stuff. It works really, really good. Okay, guys, I'll be back in a little bit, and we're going to show how this turned out after it dried, and then Jeremy and I are going to be installing it onto the model, and we'll take you through how we get all the wiring and everything done on that. So we'll see you with that in just a couple of seconds, everybody. All right, everybody, well, here we are, and we're getting ready to install our engine onto our pylon here. So what we're doing is we're trimming down our magnet wire, and we're going to solder these, and we're going to get them as short as we can, and we've got some heat shrink already on there, so get rid of this. And Jeremy's just going to help me hold it steady there. And we'll get these soldered up. It's very tedious. I'm glad I got a helping hand here to help me out with this. I had a hell of a time doing it on the last one. But our silicone is dry, so we should have a nice seal in there. And got that one ready to go. Solder iron's already warmed up. Hold it back up underneath me. I don't want to drip solder on it. There we go. Okay, got our hot wire. Now we'll solder up our ground. Very little tedious procedure here. And we're just making sure that we keep these wires as short as possible so we can push them down into the pylon as we push the engine up toward it. our heat shrink over the top of it. Take a second to work itself over it here. No, it's not cooperating. There we go. Quick hit with a little lighter here. Okay, we're good on that one. Number 2. Okay, 1 down, 4 to go. All right, so now we've got to grab our next circuit here, which will be our chiller grill. First one we connected up was the power. So go ahead and get this off of here. Trim these down just a little bit. Gotta find the same one on the harness here. Get our strobe. These magnet wires are really grabby until you get them trimmed down to size here. Okay, we've got our chiller grill here. So we're going to cut this about right here. Get rid of that. And put our shrink tube on first. Okay. Let's do our negative wire first. Okay, get this one soldered up. Pull her this way a little bit. Okay. Got a good solder joint there. Okay. Get rid of some excess solder there. We don't want that solder on there too thick. Got a little drip on there. Our heat shrink won't slide over that. There we go. Everything's so far so good, everybody. Sorry we're not talking a whole lot here. We just got to concentrate on this. Okay, just 2 more left. Let's trim these down to size here. I'm going to put our shrink tube again. Yeah, mentioning it before, everybody, we've got 3 separate circuits here. We've got one for the power for our chiller grills. We've got one for the power for our main lighting, which will be the flood lamps at the front, the thrusters there at the tail, the crystal on the top, and the lighting that's around the registry numbers on the tail end. So we've got to have separate power to each one of those. Okay, let me get these cleaned up here a little. Kind of twisted together. There we go. And let's do our positive first. Okay. Yeah, we try to keep these wires as short as we possibly can so they're easier to slide into the pylon. You've got plenty of room in there though, so these magnet wires definitely make it much easier. Okay, our final solder joint here.
Despite what some people say.
Huh?
Despite what some people say.
Right. I'm making sure to let the heat soak into those pretty good, so we make sure we connect all the way through. Looking good, everybody. Looking really good. Okay, well, I've pre-tested everything, so I know everything works, so we don't have to worry about that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to start taking my tweezers here, and I'm going to slowly start pushing these wires in while Jeremy gets closer and closer with the nacelle here. Just want to make sure we don't pinch any wires anywhere. Everything's lining up just right so far, everybody. Just stuffing them in. These ones here, bring it up a little. little higher. Want to go underneath that peg with this one. Okay, bring it up a little bit more. Getting closer and closer, everybody. My experience has been you got to get down to about the last quarter of an inch, and then you can go for it, and it'll all tuck in there. Let's see, our hole is over there. Okay, we'll be able to go the rest of the way in there now. Let me put some glue on this, and we'll seal her up. Again, I made sure those pegs are all good and clean and everything. Now we're just going to ride it up on in there. There we go. Absolutely perfect. Can't beat that. Okay, everybody, so now what I'm going to do is I'll make sure that my pylon is nice and straight, or I'm sorry, my nacelle, from looking at it from the front, and I'll probably have to take some tape and temporarily tape it in place. But you guys get the idea of how we installed this now. I'm going to come back here in a little bit after it's been drying for a little while, and I'm going to power everything up and show you all the circuits working, guys. So I'll be back with that in just a few minutes. A couple seconds, actually, for you guys. See you then. So here we are with a closing beauty shot of the Enterprise Refit. I've got the nacelle mounted on the pylon securely now, and you can see I've got a little bit of tape on there bracing it in place to make sure it was nice and straight. So that's going to dry overnight, but we thought we'd close up here with a nice shot of everything lit up on the model. I still don't have the deflector dish on that because we're going to have to bring our wires up through our base and connect everything, and then finally close up by capping the deflector dish over top of all the wiring. But I've got my camera exposure turned down here so you guys can see the beautiful patterns on our Aztecs a little bit better. This camera always wants to wash everything out, but here you can really see all the really nice detail and the colors coming through on this. And they're just like sparkling opals like Paul Olson talked about, and I'm really, really happy with how the whole thing came out. It was about another, I'd say about 30 hours total just in painting the nacelles, but you can see we didn't scrimp anywhere. We've got all these done, and the beautiful patterns are nice and crisp and clean, and really nice. Here you can see the chiller grills all lit up. No hot spots there. We mounted the LED tape in the top like we showed you guys a while back, and you can see we've got the correct 5-bar pattern there, the way they're supposed to be lit and painted properly, and everything looks really good. You can see we've got our floodlights working here on the front on both of our nacelles. Our crystals on the top, they look really good, and you can see in the arboretum there, and our officers lounge here at the back with our little crew figures and everything in there. I think that looks really good. And here you can see a little bit of the light has to hit this just the right way, of course, but here you can see all the Aztecing on the saucer and everything, and top and bottom, and we have that looking really, really nice. So everything's looking good, guys. Just some minor touching up details around it here and there. You can see I've put a little drop of canopy glue there on the top where the beacon is, and that'll dry overnight, and then I'll come back and put the little red circle decal that goes on around that. But just a couple little things. I've got to build up a couple of the shuttles. The client for this model, he decided that we would make the shuttle bay either open or close, so I've also got to paint the shuttle bay doors and do the pearlescent colors on those panels for that, and then build a couple of the shuttles, and he'll be able to either put them in there or take them out however he wants. But you can see the shuttle bay came out really nice too, and there you can see our impulse engines, and I can't switch anything right now because we don't have any switches hooked up, but everything's coming along really, really nice on this one, everybody. I'm really happy with it. And that's going to be a wrap. When we come back for the final video on this one, you guys will see the model all finished up. And here's the part of the base that we're working on for this one. This is beautiful. Dave at Wolf Base built this bottom half for me, and Jerry is going to be shipping the top, which should be here tomorrow. And so by the weekend, we'll be putting this together. And it's going to be a beautiful base, guys. It has a mirrored top with the Star Trek logo etched into it, and just fantastic. So you guys can look forward to seeing that. So that's a wrap for this one, everybody. We'll be back probably in the next couple of days, and you guys are going to see the grand finale of our months-long Enterprise refit build here. And she's just about complete, guys. So take care out there. Until we see you next time, everybody, happy modeling.